Step one in how I design a garden is making sure that I have good bones and getting and establishing a rhythm and repetition of evergreens throughout the garden bed. Then step two would be layering on top of those evergreens beautiful blooming shrubs, again, that are in a progression of bloom that kind of unfolds over time. As one bloomer fades, another one picks up the slack and comes into bloom. And that's what I tried to do in my own garden. And I think something that is very effective in making sure that your garden has 4 seasons of interest. So that would be the second layer, your blooming shrubs, again, that are largely deciduous. Now, I can tell you what I have in my garden. I have lots of hydrangeas that bloom at different times. I've got mop heads, Annabelles, white wedding hydrangeas. I'll make sure that you get the totality of the list. But the thing about them is, what makes each one of them distinctive is that they subtly bloom at different times. So as one type of hydrangea fades, another hydrangea again kind of picks up the slack. Now, behind all of my blooming shrubs, up against my fence, a lot of you have commented that I seem to just have a wall of green. Well, those aren't what I consider to necessarily be evergreens, though often they are, and that's Nandina. I have a whole layer of Nandina domestica that, for the most part, covers the very back of the fence. So in the foreground, I have bloomers and different kinds of evergreens, but in the background, to soften the fence and give some visual height, I have lots of Nandina. They aren't across the entire expanse of the border, but you will see them with regularity. And again, those contribute to that 4 seasons of interest because they put out beautiful berries in the winter time. They are often evergreen, and I think they're a nice textural counterpoint to the more structured evergreens of the boxwood and the conifers. So that's what I consider to be another layer. Now, what else is in my arsenal of blooming shrubs? Well, number one, I am very much going to be attentive to what the light conditions are across the length of the bed, because some of these bloomers are going to want full sun, some are going to want full shade, some want full sun for the most part, but they can handle that full sun in the spring and in the late winter, but they can't handle it in late summer. Fortunately, trees leaf out, and some plants that were once in full sun are now in shade. So those are the kinds of things that you can take into consideration. Now, let me give you some examples and some changes I'm thinking about making in my own garden bed. Towards the house, just off of the bistro, if you're familiar with my garden, there is a large clump of hydrangeas. They are just to the left, beautiful hydrangeas, just to the left of my garden bench. Now, most of those are hydrangea macrophylla. They are French hydrangeas or mophead hydrangeas. And even though they can handle some shade, to really bloom beautifully and to color with some kind of intensity, they need more sun than they're getting now. At one time in the past, they got plenty of sun and they were just beautiful in both profusion and intensity of color. But now, because things have matured around them, not so much. So what I'm considering is maybe transplanting or gifting a lot of those hydrangeas, transplanting them to another place where they'll be a lot happier and bloom more vigorously, and maybe investing in some different kinds of shrubs that will bloom at a different time of year. So I'm thinking about a huge mound of azaleas, maybe white azaleas. Now, in the spring and in the late winter, it will be in full sun, so they should be able to set bud and handle that environment at that time of year, and hopefully will bloom beautifully right outside of my kitchen door. But later, when they need it most, When temps really get hot, they will be in shade, and so they won't burn up. So that's an example of taking into account what the kind of climactic and contextual situation you have within your same garden bed. Then as you progress and you head further north on this long bed of mine, and I will give you the dimensions of it in the description below, it gets increasingly more sunny, so that by the time you get to the end of the bed, at pretty much all times of year, it's in full sun. So that's something else that I take into account. Not only what are the light and shade conditions at any given point in time, but how will those change over the course of the seasons, because oftentimes what is in full sun will be in full shade and vice versa. So that is also something to record and take note of, there's a tip, in your garden journal. And then basically you just do lots of observation. If something is stressed, it can be moved. If something needs more sun, it can be moved. And the only way you really know that is through trial and error and observation. So again, be very observant and put all of those observations, make sure to record them in your garden journal. It's very, very important that you be a scientist as well as an artist when it comes to creating a beautiful, beautiful bed. So I'll put an entire list of all of my favorite blooming shrubs. That include things like snowball viburnums, reblooming hydrangeas, oak leaf hydrangeas, deutzia, all sorts of different kinds of blooming shrubs, including this pink flowering regalia that was in full bloom in the spring. It kind of faded out. Now with the rains and a little bit cooler temperatures, it has rebloomed. But I will put an extensive and a pretty comprehensive list of what some of my favorite blooming shrubs are. And then basically you are just layering them, making sure that you give them what they need in terms of their cultural requirements, and then you'll be ready for step 3.